morning and welcome to 𝗥𝗵𝗲 show. Thank you for always tuning in. Thank you for always being here with us to listen, learn, and grow. Now, it's very important that, when you implement on what we're teaching, this is where growth begins to happen. And today, Ria is going to be taking over the conversation. But before she does, I want to introduce myself. My name is 𝗥𝗵𝗲.
My name is Ria.
And welcome
to
our
show.
Ria, going to pass the mic to you.
Thank you, 𝗥𝗵𝗲. And today's topic is a continuation from the book of Robert Kiyosaki, Increase Our Financial IQ. So let me share my screen. All right. So the topic for today from the book of Robert Kiyosaki, Increase Our Financial IQ, is Smart Guys Fail. This is just one of the topics that will be covered today. So on August 24, 2007, after the market crash, the Wall Street Journal ran a story about how quantitative funds, which is supposedly managed by some of the smartest guys on Wall Street, all lost the money. So smart guys fail. In other words, according to Robert, A student received F grade, F. The article states that even if they don't share the same statistical models, quant funds share similar approaches to the market. They are schooled in the same statistical methods, pore over the same academic papers, and use the same historical data. As a result, they can easily come to similar conclusions about how to invest. In other words, Wall Street hires academic geniuses. These are the A students and graduates of the world's best business schools who use sophisticated computer models to invest billions of dollars, and they all come to the same answer. So according to Robert, when their models say buy, they all buy the same stocks, causing a boom. And when the models say sell, they sell en masse, meaning they sell everything en masse, crashing the market. According to Robert, this is not financial intelligence. The next chapter is not diversified, but thinking they are diversified. Robert has two very smart classmates who both went on to graduate from Stanford universities with PhDs. Both of Robert's classmates have high-paying jobs, one with a bank and the other with the oil company. After the stock market crashed following 9/11, both of his classmates lost a lot of money, even though both were diversified. Over the years, Robert talked to them individually. Robert asked about their investment strategy, and both said, I invested in a well-diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Although Robert did not say it, Robert wanted to point out to them that they were not really diversified. Instead of being diversified, they were 100% invested in paper assets, primarily the stock market. The two of his friends were not in investment grade real estate or privately held businesses or commodities, such as oil production. So when the market went down, it all came down. They were not diversified, but they thought they were. His classmates had above average academic IQs, but below average financial IQs. So an academic IQ is very different from financial IQ. Financial IQ is the real world now. Academic IQ is the school. Now, I'd like to share with you a topic. This is not from Robert Kiyosaki, but this is from Warren Buffett. I share this in the context of diversification because Warren Buffett says we gotta stay in our circle of competence, our circle of competence. So what this means is that we gotta stay in our line of what we know. Now, this other circle is what we think we know, but we actually do not know. This is the unknown, or what they call black swan. To give further illustration of the circle of competence, this is the circle of competence, which shows I really understand this business and industry. The yellow circle shows I have a pretty good understanding. This blue color, darker blue color, is I have some high level understanding. And the light blue color shows I have no understanding whatsoever. So Warren says we gotta stay in our circle of competence to avoid pain, to avoid losing money. So I did some research on the circle of competence, and this is from Wikipedia. So circle of competence is the subject area which matches a person's skills or expertise. The concept was developed by Warren Buffett and his partner, Charlie Munger. And this is also called the mental model. It's a codified form of business acumen concerning the investment strategy of limiting one's financial investment in areas where an individual may have limited understanding or experience, while concentrating in areas where one has the greatest familiarity. The strategy emphasizes the importance of aligning one's subjective assessment with the actual competence. So Buffett says, know your circle of competence and stick within it. The size of the circle is not very important. So the size is not important at all. Knowing its boundaries is vital. So stay within the circle and know the edges. Know the edge or the boundary of the circle. The size of the circle do not matter. So in his 1996 letter to Berkshire Hathaway, Buffett further expanded, what an investor needs is the ability to correctly evaluate selected businesses. The word is selected. You do not have to be an expert on every company or even many. You only have to be able to evaluate companies within your circle of competence. So why I share this? Because the book says diversify, right? Diversify. Robert talks about diversification. Now, diversification, if you do not have the circle of competence, it's not good to diversify because that's for sure you're gonna lose your money. I'm gonna lose my money if I diversify. I can just focus on a small circle. So for example, if I focus on this small circle, which is the real estate, and I have my circle of competence, I have the circle of competence in the real estate, then there is less chance for me to lose money. Because why? I am staying in my circle of competence. But when I diversify now to buy paper, which is stocks, bonds, or mutual funds, I do not have my circle of competence here. I do not have my circle of competence. So what's going to happen to it, to my money? Most likely, I'm going to lose my money. Because why? I'm away from my circle of competence. To continue, Sampan Nitayanon from Naresuan University traces the concept, if not the terminology, as far back as Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie is one of the super wealthy during his time. And he's a philanthropist now. He's dead, but there's Carnegie Hall. There's several libraries that was funded by Andrew Carnegie. So his circle of competence was on iron and steel. So Andrew Carnegie concentrated on iron and steel, writing, "My advice to young men would not only to concentrate their whole time and attention to one business in life in which they engage, but to put every dollar of their capital into it. So not only do we put our time, our attention, our life into one business, but we also would take the risk of putting every dollar of our money into it, so as long as we stay in that circle of competence, all right? One business. So operating within one circle of competence may be compared with those who act overconfidently. For example, institutional investors who have been successful in the past are more likely to attribute to their success to their own abilities rather than external forces, and are therefore more likely to make investment in areas outside their circle of competence. The strategy of operating within their individual circles has been cited as the reason for both Buffett and Munger avoided investing in the technology sector. The breadth of any individual circle of competence may be determined by a range of factors, including our own profession, our spending habits, and the type of products we normally use. So for example, my profession is a real estate professional. So I like to stay within my profession, which is the real estate professional. The spending habits, what do I have in terms of spending habits? I buy a lot of apartments. I buy a lot of things related to the apartments and the type of products I use. So whether it's be a shingle, appliance, roofing material, or siding material, that's the products I normally use. So remaining within one circle confers a number of benefits. So if you stay within your circle, there's so many benefits, such as the information advantage, narrowing of available options, and reduction of poor decision making. So not only do you get the knowledge of being a master in that particular area when you stay in your circle, but you also reduce losing money, reduction of poor decision making, which can eventually make you keep that money and multiply that money. because when you make a bad decision, you lose a lot of money. Now, to end this topic today, I'm sharing Warren Buffett's quote from Trade Brains and AZ Quotes. And this goes: everybody's got a different circle of competence. The important thing is not how big the circle is. The important thing is staying in that circle. So size does not matter, okay? Does not matter if you have a small circle or a big circle. Another quote from Warren Buffett is, knowing the edge of your competency is very important. If you think you know more than you do, you will get in trouble. Because why? There's always black swans. There's things we do not know that we do not know. So that's my topic today. And let me know in the comment section below what your key takeaway is, and stay tuned for more Alka and Ria show.
Hey, Ria, that was great. Thanks. You know what? I wanted to just expand on the spending habits, because you talked about being competent, and when you're competent means you need to stay in your lane so that you can really master. Can you expand more on that?
So, for example, I am in the real estate business. So in the real estate business, there are so many things under the real estate. There's land development, there's the fix and flippers, there's builders, the real estate, there's multifamily, there's single family, there's storage areas. So there's so many subdivisions or branches of real estate. Yeah. So for me, I'd like to just stay in apartments because I cannot study all of it. There's many unknowns, or what we call black swans in each of this category. And not only are they unique, all branches of real estate are unique, but in the real estate of apartments, right? There's so many variables that I gotta know too. There's so many factors that I gotta know. One, location. Am I in the right real estate market? And in that location, what our mentor says, Grant Cardone, if you compare it with a clock, there's a certain portion of the clock, whether you're 3 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, right? There's a portion of that clock where that specific location is the hottest location. Not all clocks, right? Not all the numbers in the clock will make you money. There's only a of that number in that clock works. So that alone, right? You got to stay in that circle of competence because that has so many factors. Now you got to know about the job market. Now you've got to know about the competitors, the taxes. Are there new businesses coming in? So there's so many factors to know about. So that's why I'd like to just focus myself on apartments in my local neighborhood, because I know it's so easy to scale your business if you just stay within your circle of competence. In my case, my circle of competence is in my neighborhood because I know the area so fast. I can make a decision even just closing my eyes. So the less likely I reduce my poor decision making because I stay within my circle of competence.
Right. So when you're talking about the spending habits, though, would the spending habits relate to like how much you're spending on a particular thing? Can you just clarify that? What do you mean by the spending habits?
So, I mean, one can take it into different, you can iterate it into different, like 100 times, right? There's so many things with spending habits. So for me, I'm a beginner, I'm a newbie. So for spending habits, if I want to stay within my circle of competence, right? Yeah. I need knowledge. And within that knowledge, there's free and there could also be things that I got to pay. So one of my mentors says, spend time like a rich person, spend on things like a poor person. That means time is very valuable. And I got to treasure it. I got to look at it like the rich do, right? Which means they would spend money to bring your future forward. Whereas if I spend like the poor, then you can buy a lot of things, a lot of items that does not create you money. So when you're in your spending habits, this is my iteration of the spending habits. So if I want to be competent in the real estate business, in the apartment specifically, I need to have mentors that would shortcut my knowledge. So I'm going to spend my learning on just learning about apartments, because you could on real estate, you know, they called real estate assisted living facility. You could pay mentors for fix and flip. You could pay mentors for short-term rentals, right? So if you stay within your circle of competence, then your spending habits is just targeted on that. Or you can get free ones too. But you know, there's so many information out there in YouTube, but that will take a lot of time. If you want to reduce that learning, that time to learn, then you got to spend money like the rich do. They hire mentors to shorten that time, and then you can deploy that knowledge sooner rather than later. Like I said, there's so many iteration of spending habits. You can do it in your own, you know, own personal finance too, on your own, you know, your own home. It just depends what circle of competence you want, where you want to focus on that circle of competence.
Right. Well, that, you know, that's really good, because, you know, knowledge is everything, and we need to have the knowledge to be able to know. And it's like a guide, right? It's like a roadmap. Okay, what am I focusing on? What do I need to do that's really going to help me so that I'm not spending more, right, money, or I'm not spending in the wrong directions?
Now, one of my mentors also mentioned is that what you put your focus, where you put your focus, where you put your attention, you will get.
Yeah.
So I bring this quote because I want to emphasize to our viewers, it's not just about saving. So if you put your focus into saving, all you will get is just saving. But if you put your focus into creating income, you will get income. You will get incomes if you put your focus into incomes. So it's not just about saving. You've got to put your attention, your 100% focus on creating income, because you will get that income.
So true. Exactly. Well, thanks, Rui, for sharing that. Well, we have come to the end of another amazing show. And as always, you know, we always want you to implement on what what we're teaching you. So if you implement, then this is how you're going to learn, and this is how you're going to improve in your life. So as we've come to the end of another amazing show, make the rest of the day the best of your day. Go out, implement, and you know, your life will truly change. Thanks, Ria. Thank you to all of you for tuning in today. We will see you at the same time come tomorrow morning. Bye for now, guys. Thanks, Ria. That's awesome. You know what? That is so true. Because you know what? Oftentimes we think, oh my gosh, you know, I'm spending this, but how do I know if I spent it, you know, what I'm spending is the right way? Because you know, you could be looking at so many things saying, oh, I want to invest in this, or I want to do this, but then focus on like I said, be competent in that one direction, so you master it.
Right. So I've actually looking back, right, I'm like, you know, there's like when you hear about just on the real estate, right, like, oh, there's like storage, oh, there's like you know, like mobile, right, mobile park,
homes,
mobile home park, right, and then there's land. You know, when you go on this mentorship, like with Grant or Brad Somrock, other people have their own, you know, like circle of competence. Well, they're like diversified too, right? They're diversified into like real assisted living facility. And you know, I tried to assisted living facility too, but I'm like, oh my gosh, there's just so many things that I gotta learn about assisted living facility. Now I'm not only dealing with apartments, but at home, I'm also dealing with like, staffing, like nursing staffing or CNA staffing. And now I gotta deal with like billing, like insurances to have an elderly stay in that assisted living facility. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like going away from my circle of competence. So I just passed on it. Like, I'm like, I signed up for a group. It's called RAL. But I'm like, okay,
It's
I'm not
called
gonna,
which one? Rao? Which
yeah, it's
Rao?
resident assisted living,
Okay.
right? But I'm like, that's it. And I saw my friend, she just started. I'm like, good luck. She's into apartments too, like multifamily. She's a syndicator. I think she probably has like one or two of her own single family home.
Oh, she's in the US? Yeah.
Yeah, she's here in the US, and she's into the syndication, trying to find people to invest in multifamily apartments. And now I saw her into the assisted living, because like Facebook, you get pinged with like stuff, right? So I remember I joined the RAL, the
Oh,
assisted
you
living.
joined it. Oh, you joined it.
Joined that one because I tried to learn, right? I tried to learn, but I didn't put my feet into it. It's just like knowledge. So
Yeah.
I get like groups and like messages about it. And so I saw my friend there. I'm like, oh, and now she's into like she has one, and then she's gonna develop another one, and then now she's like a speaker. Oh, when she only has like two RALs, right? Resident assisted living. And I'm like, I don't want that, because the other thing too that came into my mind, being in the medical field, she's a physical therapist. The only thing that would scare me with that is another COVID, another pandemic, and then
Yeah.
short of people. You're short of nurses, you're short of cleaners, you're short of nursing,
That is
right?
so true.
I'm like, oh my God, I cannot have more headaches. Like my big hospital here even have shortage during that pandemic. And what more,
Mm,
you're a small little entrepreneur, you're gonna be hit. And I'm
yeah,
like,
that is such a
take another pandemic.
yeah, and that is so true. You know what? I met someone, I think it was a couple of months ago, and she invited me, she's Filipino, and she invited me to one of her investors, Filipino investor. But I said, everything's about learning. So obviously I went. And she introduced me to a friend, and she does land development. Now, obviously, it seemed enticing, it seemed interesting, but then I'm hearing two sides. Some people say land is not good. Some people say, yeah, land is good because you buy a land, but then you can develop on that, and then obviously you can make money. But then I'm thinking anything, it's kind of risky, you know,
Mm.
it's kind of risky. But anyway, so
That's
you gotta
your
learn it, and then huh?
you stay within your circle of competence, you reduce your risk, right? Because you're staying within your circle of competence. You
Right,
reduce.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be hit. You don't want to be hit, but then you're taking the risk, right? You're taking the risk if you don't stay within your competency, is what you just said.
Right. There's already a risk within your circle of competence, and you enlarge the risk by staying outside of your circle of competence. For example, like land. Unless you're really into like land now, then that's going to be your circle of competence.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So good.
The
So good.
other I want to share with you with regards to like circle of competence, I wanted to like have a business, right? I'm like restaurant. I'm like, oh my gosh, because
You
I
want to
have
have a restaurant?
like before, right? Like restaurant. And I'm like, that's another like a circle of competence there. I'm like, no, that's
It,
really out of my circle. I'm like, another circle of competence. I cannot be in the restaurant business.
you know what? Oh my gosh. We were talking to someone, I can't remember where, but they were talking about the same thing, having a restaurant. And then we were just talking about, okay, if you have a restaurant is a 24/7 job,
Yeah.
24/7. You know, even if you hire someone, even if you have employees, so this is the thing that I think about. If I have a restaurant, say today, I have great food, because food is everything, location is everything. But if you have employees, how do you know if they're trustworthy? Because nowadays you really can't trust a good employee, because everyone is into their own.
Mhm.
So that's another thing. So if I hired employee, I have a great restaurant, how do I know at the back of my mind, like you said, you want that peace of mind. What are my employees doing? Are they doing a good job? There's always that question that you have to ask yourself.
Very true.
So it's interesting you just brought up with the restaurant, because I don't know, we are just talking to someone and it's that restaurant, and then we were just saying, oh, if we had a restaurant, if we had good food, Chinese or Jamaican, or vice a bit of both, right? And spice it up. But it's your employees, how do you know? Like you said, you want that peace of mind. What are my employees doing? Are they doing a good job? Can I just go away and I can just have a manager run everything? But even a good manager, finding a good manager,
Good
it's
challenge.
finding good people though.
Yep, that's right.
It's not easy. But anyway, we can always chat for another time.
Your
But it is my turn next time. It is. All right, Ria, have an amazing day.
you too. Take care. See you next.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.